My name is Elsa, and I have a bone to pick with this Sporker toy right here. How dare your movie steal our movies of fame? We were supposed to win Best Anime Feature, but not you. But you hacked into the Oscar system and made our movie go as far as getting snubbed for Best Anime Feature. I'm gonna freeze you now. Hey guys, this is Frozen Things Stews here, and welcome back to another movie review. And today, I am going to be doing a review on Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 is the fourth installment in the Toy Story franchise, and it came out in the year 2019, aka my favorite year, and it's directed by Josh Cooley, who is going to direct the upcoming Transformers one, which I am not excited for. I'm not looking forward to that. And it stars Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Annie Potts, Tony Hale, Keegan-Michael Key, Madeline McGraw, Christina Hendricks, Jordan Peele, Keanu Reeves, Ali Mackey, Jay Hernandez, Laurie Allen, Joan Cusack, Bonnie Hunt, Kristen Schell, Emily Davis, Wallace Shaw, John Ratzenberger, Blake Clark, June Squibb, Carl Weathers, Don Rickles, Jeff Garland, Jack McGraw, Estelle Harris, Mel Brooks, etc. Carol Burnett, Bill Hader, Patricia Arquette, Timothy Dalton, etc. And so the film tells a story. Taking place after the events of the third film. I don't remember. I'm not sure about the time span. Now Bonnie is happy with with the new toys that Andy donated to her. But unfortunately, Bonnie no longer cares about Woody anymore. Bonnie doesn't care about Woody because she unfortunately doesn't include Woody in her new playtime. And Bonnie is Bonnie is about to have her first day of kindergarten, and she actually does not want to go to kindergarten. So she becomes really sad about that she had to go to school, and feels very depressed about it. Thanks to thanks to Woody desperately trying to be the same toy to Bonnie as he was to Andy, while Woody secretly sneaks into kindergarten and to try and make Bonnie feel better. So what he does is that he creates materials for Bonnie to create a new friend who turns out to be a new toy built by Bonnie named Forky. And so Forky becomes Bonnie's new favorite toy. And Woody's job is to make sure that nothing happens to Forky, because Forky apparently believes that he's trash and not a toy. You can probably see where you can probably tell the familiarity. I'll talk about that later. And Forky. Woody must protect Forky and make sure that he doesn't get lost from Bonnie. But then all of a sudden, Forky jumps out of the van and loses everyone. So Woody chases after Forky, and RV stops at a carnival where Woody wants to bring Forky back to the RV. But when he finds out that Bo Peep is now living in an antique store that he goes around, he goes into the antique store to find Bo Peep, where he runs into Gabby and her doll, so wanting Woody's voice box. But when she finds out that Woody has a voice box, and so they find Bo Peep, and they pretty much Bo Peep's a lost toy, and they must pretty much get back to the RV while trying to get away from Gabby, but then Gabby gets kidnapped and blah, and that's a plot for it. I don't know how to explain anymore, but the basis of the film is basically Forky trying to accept the fact that he's a toy and all that shit. So yeah, now everyone knows how special the Toy Story trilogy is. Toy Story trilogy is among everyone's favorite. Yeah, the Toy Story. Sorry about that. I'm a little distracted, but yeah, the Toy Story trilogy is among everyone's favorite animated trilogy. And I think for me, it's neck to neck between that and the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy as the best Pixar trilogy. Is it my favorite Pixar franchise? Not really. Well, back then it was, but now The Incredibles duology and Inside Out duology took the title. I'd even rank the Munches franchise over this one with Munches Inc. and Munches Inc. and University. By the way, I am thinking of doing my ranking of all Pixar franchises soon. Yeah. So you'll see about that. But yeah, there was a time when Toy Story was unanimously agreed upon to be Pixar's best franchise because all three films, they're all straight 5 out of 5s, and just like the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, it is a perfect trilogy. Not a single bad installment at all. Not even a single flawed installment. All of them I gave straight 5 out of 5s. So to recap my thoughts on the first three Toy Story films, the first Toy Story movie, while it is the weakest one of the trilogy, it's still an excellent first installment and one of the most revolutionary animated films of all time because it's literally not only the first Pixar film, but also the first computer animated film ever made. So you can clearly see why it's regarded to be the best Pixar movie by many, and some even going as far as calling it their favorite animated film of all time. And I do think that the Toy Story is actually... I actually realized that the first Toy Story is actually people's pick for best Pixar film. It's either that or WALL-E, and some of the others I mentioned. And I can totally see why. Toy Story 2 is the movie that people say is the weakest one in the trilogy. And some even saying it's the weakest in the franchise in general. But to me personally, Toy Story 2 is my second favorite Toy Story film. It is better than the first film. Yeah, Toy Story 2 was one of my favorite movies as a kid, and you can clearly see why. It's very nostalgic. It actually expands upon its themes from the first film, and yeah, it expands on them. It's more. It has more than the first film, and it pretty much does almost everything better. Maybe the villain. Yeah, sure, the villain is a step down, but everything else is a step above it, including the narrative, themes, messages, character development, and everything. I think Toy Story 2 deserves more recognition. I think it's not an underrated film. It is perfectly rated, but it feels underrated as a Toy Story movie. But Toy Story 3 will always be my favorite Toy Story film. That film went all out. It is a very dark and serious and grounded Toy Story film, but it's still able to deliver that lighthearted charm to it that makes people love Toy Story. It's able to mash tones together perfectly, and it is a very emotional film. That ending of Toy Story 3 will never be unmatched. So you can actually imagine people getting pissed off when they announce a Toy Story 4 that they're actually going to continue the franchise after that perfect ending, which was a bullshit. Which is bullshit. But when it came to me personally, maybe if I was a critic now, if I was like a major cinephile, I would have saw the fact that, I mean, if I was myself today, like back in 2019, if I was myself now back in 2019, like if I had this personality, I would have been one of those people boycotting Toy Story 4. But actually, to tell you the truth, guys, I actually defend the Toy Story 4 upon announcement. Now, yeah, Toy Story 4 is actually a very divisive film. There are some people who defend and love Toy Story 4, and they would say it's like they call it one of Pixar's greatest films, and they even say it's one of the better. They even call it better than one of the original Toy Story films, whether it's either the second or the third one, and maybe even the first one, like Shea-Thriller, for example. And they go as far as calling it the best animated film in 2019. Some even saying it's the best movie in 2019 in general. And the movie would go down to win best animated feature. But then you get the side of people who say this, who actually hate this movie. Now, yeah, not only do they say it's the worst Toy Story film, but they actually downright hate it. Some even going as far as calling it the worst Pixar movie ever, and would say that this movie damages the Toy Story franchise. They say it's a complete disaster, and some even say it's like one of the worst animated movies ever made on a writing and retconning standpoint. And where do I stand? Well, based on the title of the video, you probably know where I stand. Yeah, because this is gonna be a mini rant because unfortunately, I'm in the negative side here. Now, yes, guys, I know the defenders of Toy Story 4 are gonna be like would typically say to the haters of Toy Story 4, oh, you didn't even watch this movie open mind. You only hate this movie because you were expecting to hate it. You're just biased and you're prejudging the film. You didn't even see how good it was. You just wanted to hate on the movie. Oh, but hear me out, guys. I actually was looking forward to Toy Story 4. Now, I actually didn't realize that people were actually boycotting Toy Story 4 because I didn't really look at social media at the time. Like, I wasn't big on social media back then, and I thought people were excited for Toy Story 4 because the critics I've seen, I viewed at the time, put Toy Story 4 as one of their most anticipated movies of the year. But I was like wondering, how are they going to continue this? But at the same time, I was like, oh, it's a Toy Story movie. I'm sure it's going to find a way to surprise me. I'm sure it's going to be good. And I was not aware that I didn't view this film as unnecessary and all that stuff. But when I saw Toy Story for the first time, I actually kind of enjoyed it. But I always knew it was the weakest one in the franchise. I always knew that there was something missing in the film and something missing from a Toy Story film, especially in comparison to the first three. But during the fall of when the movie came out on digital and I rewatched it like during fall 2019, like by the way, which is close to Frozen 2's release, which you all know Frozen 2 is the superior Disney animated movie of 2019. No competition. I realized, Toy Story 4 is not good. And that was actually when I got my channel for the first time, when I got my YouTube channel, for the first time, and when I actually joined the YouTube community, that's when I realized that Toy Story, that's when I rewatched Toy Story 4 and realized it was not good. And my thoughts only kept declining. And I remember my class, I actually rewatched this movie in school during my Christmas party because my class just wanted to watch it, and the quality is really there. This movie's true nature. At one point, I actually started liking this movie again, but now I've jumped to the conclusion that I think Toy Story 4 is a bad movie. And so based on like that story I just told, so it's proof that I'm not just hating on the film just because it's unnecessary and I wanted. Just because I wasn't open to the fact that Toy Story 4 could be surprisingly good, and I wasn't being biased. It's just, honestly, I really let that. It's just, I thought that a Toy Story movie could not go wrong, and they still find a way to make it work. But nope. Toy Story 4, it is just as unnecessary as you'd think. Lately I've been thinking about the film, if you saw my previous Toy Story reviews, I've been trash talking this film because my thoughts on the film kept on declining, and up to the point where this is what I think of the film now, and I'm gonna stand by it. I genuinely do not understand the praise that this film gets. Sure, it's not the most overrated Pixar film. It's not Cars overrated, because at least this film, like what I said, is divisive. It has its haters. It has people who can actually see the issues with this movie and can see that it's just not a good movie. But I genuinely don't understand why people think that this is one of the best Pixar films and would even call it the best movie of 2019. And hell no. How can anybody? yeah, and I get that people say it's better than Frozen 2 because it's a more realistic film. But how the fuck can anybody think that this is better than Endgame? Like, why and how? Like, seriously, name one reason. Give me one reason why you think that this is better than Endgame. And yeah, and I'm sure that at least all my friends agree that Frozen 2 is far superior to Toy Story 4. And yet now, in comparison to some of the other Toy Story 4 haters, I actually would not go as far as saying that this film is a cinematic disaster and all that stuff. I won't go that far. So there are people out there who hate the film more than I do. But I could totally see that how it damages the other Toy Story films, especially the ending of the third one. Now, yeah, I would say that the movie is close to being a cinematic disaster because if I were to say this movie is a cinematic disaster, this would have been a straight up rant. But I'd say it is a mini rant at best. Now I want to just to be generous to the people watching this who love Toy Story 4. I want to start off with what I liked about the film, the good things about the film. Yeah. Now, I think one thing we can all agree on is that the animation is very good. Now, the animation is not perfect, and there are some issues I have with the animation, which I'll get to later. But for the most part, the animation is really good. You got the realistic character designs and the realistic backgrounds. But I think it's the backgrounds and special effects that really stand out the most from the animation because it gives a more realistic texture. A perfect example of what I'm talking about is the rain effects in the beginning, which, by the way, is the best scene of the film. The Operation Bull Toy scene was the best scene of the film. The rain made the already gorgeous animation look even more beautiful. Like, the rain effects is just beautiful. The score from Randy Newman is really good. Probably one of the better scores in the franchise. I think probably my second favorite soundtrack in the franchise, just right behind Toy Story 2. And of course, you can't ignore the voice acting. It's always going to be good for the most part. Now, yes, animation score and voice acting will always be like the typical good stuff in an animated film. So, by saying just these things are the only redeeming qualities, they would have actually not been enough for me. Like, if they were the only redeeming qualities in the film, they would have been. This movie would have actually been a cinematic disaster, and I would have hated this because they're just some of the basic stuff of animation. I mean, a lot of animated films these days would just have good animation, but the movie itself would actually be bad in quality. But the one thing that actually kept me from hating this movie and calling it a cinematic disaster is Bo Peep. Yeah, Bo Peep is actually what made me a tad bit more generous to this one. If it wasn't for Bo Peep, I would have actually hated this movie. It's hard not to like Bo in this movie, as she's easily the showstealer of the film and one of the absolute best Toy Story characters. She has such a cute design. She has an adorable design. I don't want to say I have a crush on her because she's a freaking toy. Like, why the fuck would anyone have a crush on a toy? But she is adorable, and her character was very unique. While in the first two Toy Story films, she was basically this basic love interest for Woody, but this time around, she's actually a badass and an independent character and a strong female character. But not up to the point where she'd be too strong and people would call her a Mary Sue. Not that far. So yeah, Bo Peep and there's nothing I dislike about Bo Peep. I guess maybe Woody's reaction to her, like people, but yeah, that'll be safe for later. Oh boy, now it's a rant time. Yeah. Now time for me to tear apart every single issue I have with the film. And yes, guys, while the only reason it's not a full-on rant is because it's not a disaster, but the stuff that I disliked about the film, it's gonna be a rant. So yeah, rant with the issues because the issues of this film are really big. Oh boy, where do I start with this? The retconning and character assassinations of the previous films could not have been more obvious. remember the third film where Bonnie was already loving Woody the moment she found him, and then and then later on in the film, like in the end of the film, when Bonnie found out that Andy owned Woody, Andy and wanted Woody, Andy told Bonnie to take special care of him, and Bonnie would even refer to Woody as my cowboy. Well, apparently Bonnie ditches Woody within the first 5 minutes of the movie, just right in the beginning, right after the prologue, when we get to Bonnie playing with the toys. Bonnie just fucking ditches Woody, like. The fact that Bonnie completely forgets about her love for Woody, is just it's just pathetic. What Andy told him, the fact that Bonnie forgets about that and what Andy told her, goes against that ending, which should have been the actual conclusion, by the way. Bonnie apparently makes a new toy named Forky, who is so incredibly insufferable throughout the first half of the film. Yeah, I mean, I get that Bonnie would make something dumb because apparently she's just a toddler, and so she'd make something out of trash. But yeah, throughout the first half of the film, Forky is so freaking annoying. He's just like, oh, I'm trash, and like Forky would constantly do the same thing over and over and over again, up to the point where it's just so annoying. Where Forky would basically try and go to the trash can, and then Woody would stop Forky. And Woody would just grab Forky and then just like hold him, and then it just keeps going on and on every single time. Forky sees a trash can, he's just like, "Ooh, trash can!" and Forky would just try and dump himself, and Woody would just get it out. And apparently a freaking spork is Bonnie's favorite toy. And so, like, Bonnie would just be like, Bonnie would just be like, oh, ooh la la, where's Forky? Oh no, this isn't happening. Oh no, 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 no. Yeah, you got the reference there. If you've seen that movie, you know what I just referenced. And also his design is cheap and lazy. His design is so, like, bad. And by the way, that's actually one issue I have with the animation. I hate Forky's design. Like, I don't like it. It's basically just a spork with eyes and mouth. I get that that's the design because she's built by a toddler, but Forky, the thing is, Forky does not look appealing at all. And also it took Woody like so many tries to get the Forky to accept the fact that he's a toy. I'll get back to that later. But now that I'm talking about like my animation problems, I want to talk about some more of my animation problems. I mentioned that Forky's character design is unappealing. Some of the other character designs are very unappealing. But jeebus, there was one character design that really upsets me about how bad it was, and that is Andy's character design. Okay, yeah, sure. Andy only made like a small cameo appearance in the film, just showing how Andy has been playing with his toys all over the years. But good jeebus, Andy's design of this movie, like you can clearly tell that they just rushed it, that the animators didn't want to just focus on making Andy, because my god, Andy's design, come on guys, this is freaking 2019, we're in a new era of animation, and then all of a sudden you make Andy just look like that. That does not look like Andy one bit whatsoever. How come nobody else noticed how bad the Andy's character design is? It's awful. It's bad. I know it's just a small appearance, but yeah, why is it that hard to make Andy just look like Andy for crying out loud? Jeebus. And going back to Forky, I know he becomes less annoying later on when Forky apparently accepts the fact that he's not trash, but he's a toy, and then Woody be like, "Your body's trash," and that's pretty much how Forky accepted the fact that that Bonnie loved him, and all that stuff. But I know people say, "Oh, so you're saying because you started to like him later on?" Nope. He's not a well-written character. In fact, his character arc is a freaking copy of Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story 1. Yeah, remember Buzz's character arc in Toy Story 1 where he believed that he's like the toy he's meant to be? He believes that he's like the thing that he was built for, like what the kind of toy he's meant to be. But then actually he turns out to be just a toy. Like for example, like Buzz was built as a space ranger, so he thinks he's a space ranger, but he's a real space ranger. But actually he finds out he's a toy. Yeah, apparently they rehashed that character arc in not just the Forky, but they even did it to do Kaboom, yeah, with Forky. Forky believes he's trash. You guys, he came from the trash can, and he's just a spork. And there's a line where he's like, I was made for soup, salad, maybe chili, and then the trash. Yeah, that's what he believes. And he, when Woody's like telling Forky that he is a toy, but then Forky would just deny it. And it would take a while it took like half of the film, half an hour for Forky to finally accept the fact that he's a toy. And even Duke of Boom too. He's basically Buzz Lightyear, where he thinks that he's like the real stuntman. That he's actually a real stuntman now. But then but then apparently he finds out that he's actually not a real stuntman, but rather just a toy, and so he gets dumped by his owner just for that. Yeah, isn't that Buzz Lightyear? Only difference is that Andy wasn't like this to Buzz Lightyear when Andy thought that Buzz was a real space ranger. Yeah, that's the only difference, but it still felt very similar to Buzz. And by the way, what a waste of Keanu Reeves' talent here. Keanu Reeves did fine, but when it comes to all his other performances, when it comes to just how good of an actor he is overall, yeah, he feels like a waste here. And I could not care less about the new characters. Duke Kaboom was useless, didn't care for him. Giggle McDimples is the best of the new characters, but that does not say much. Gabby Gabby was such a mess, writing-wise. Literally, the movie tried to make her the main antagonist of the film, but she constantly goes from being compassionate and nice to just, oh, I'm evil. I want to just being evil. Like the movie couldn't even decide what to do. And also, Gabby Gabby was far too likable to be a villain in that sense. Yeah, she didn't seem like villain material. And as an antagonist, literally all she wanted to do is get Woody's voice box. Yeah, she just apparently wants to get played with, but her voice box is broken. So she pretty much became antagonized Woody just to take his voice back. It's like, wow, what a bad writing right there. And as for Ducky and Bunny, oh my goodness. If you thought Major was annoying, trust me when I say that Ducky and Bunny are even more annoying than Mater. I can't believe I'm saying that. Yeah, Ducky and Bunny are the worst characters in the entire Toy Story franchise. And probably the worst Pixar duo. Worst Pixar characters ever. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to think about it. But yeah. And the old characters such as Buzz, Jesse, and the rest of the gang, besides Woody, they were literally sidelined for the whole movie because all they did was stay in the RV the whole time. And all they did is just to make sure that that the RV doesn't leave Woody and Forky behind. Woody and Buzz were turned into total idiots. Buzz became unconfident because he didn't know what a conscious is. The film literally reveals that Buzz didn't know what conscious means. I mean, but wasn't the Buzz's conscience literally written in his toy box? Like, Buzz, you're a space ranger. You're a leader. You should know what a conscience is, stupid. And he had to rely on his conscience throughout, where he constantly pushes the bottom, and in the bottom would make bad decisions for Buzz. Like, but apparently Buzz listens to it. Like, Buzz, why don't you make your own decision throughout? Remember in the second and third film where Buzz actually didn't need any conscience because he knew how to make plans throughout? Yeah, Buzz relying on his inner voice to tell him what to do. What pathetic. That is so out of character. And Woody is so stupid in this movie. His stupidity is actually what caused all this mess, plot-wise. Woody was supposed to bring Forky back to the RV before Bunny wakes up and suddenly finds out that Forky is missing. But unfortunately, Woody walks by this antique store, sees a lamp, and there's shrooms. Oh, Bonnie is there. Oh, Bo Peep is there. I haven't seen Bo in a while. So, you know what? Forget bringing Forky back into the RV. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to just... I care. Bo Peep is my priority now. But Woody, you're dude, like what happened to caring about Forky? If you care, if you care so much about making Bonnie happy, and what makes Bonnie happy the most is Forky, why did you have to put to why did you have to just abandon that mission and just go inside the antique store just to look for Bo Peep? Because of that now, Woody and Forky get kidnapped by Gabby Gabby and a bunch of creepy ass dolls, and they stay in this antique store throughout. Bonnie loses Forky and cries and has to, and they look for it, and apparently it results in the toys to try and stop the RV from leaving. They break the tire. They break the tire. They burst it, and they burst the tire. They mess with the GPS, and they lock the door and get the family into all kinds of troubles, and jeebus. But you know what? You know Woody. You know what you should have done? Bring Forky back to Bonnie first, and then go to the antique store to find Bo, like by yourself. It's not that hard. Why do you have to put Bo over your fucking responsibility? Your responsibility is Forky. I mean, yeah, it's not that hard to it's not that hard. And yeah, this is Woody's business, not Forky. Bo is Woody's own personal business, not Forky's. But you should do what's more important first before what you want to do. And also apparently remember in the third film where with the misunderstanding cliche, which by the way was done right, was actually executed well, when the toys didn't believe that Andy was actually going to put the toys in the attic, but when the toys believed that Andy was actually going to throw them away in the trash, and then Woody kept on telling them, and then eventually they found out Woody was right. Yeah, apparently that happens again in this film where the toys didn't believe that didn't believe that Woody how do I say this? The toys did not believe that Woody Woody tried to tell the other toys that Bonnie, that Forky is special to Bonnie and all that stuff, but then when they don't believe Woody because Forky is just a spork, but then when Bonnie finds out that she cries over Forky going missing, they're like, oh no, Woody is white. Why didn't we believe him? Why? Yeah, jeebus. This movie just literally copies elements from the first three films. The antique store is basically the toy store from Toy Story 2 all over again. The story, now after the story, it's so freaking pretentious. How is it now? Not like pretentious in an art house film, but pretentious in a way that this movie thinks it has something to say with its themes and messages. Like it thinks that it's the first three films again where it would have a theme, a deep theme like the first three, but ultimately nope. The movie actually has nothing to say with its themes. I guess the question the film tried to ask is, what happens when a toy has no owner? But the message felt lacking. Like there's barely a message throughout, or maybe I just didn't pick it up, but I don't care. As a result, the film plays itself far too safe. This is the most lighthearted of the series, and that's not a good thing. And of course, I gotta touch upon the climax of the film, the ending, which is completely manipulative. The climax was super anticlimactic since it was just the toys making sure that the characters returned to the RV and they give Gabby Gabby an owner. But apparently the kids in this movie think that they can just take any toy that they see on the floor. Isn't that stealing? Like when kids see toys on the floor, they just take it without paying for it. Yeah, this movie pretty much encourages kids to steal toys. Like it tells kids that stealing toys is okay. You can find toys on the floor and steal them. Oh my god. And there's no real conflict throughout because the conflict was resolved far too early. Like the toys the climax is just the toys right into the van. Oh, lame, 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 lame. And yeah, I will never buy into Woody's decision to become a lost toy just to stay with Bo Peep and leave all the other toys behind and leave Bonnie behind. You know, there is a good chance Andy could actually come back to Bonnie's house to check on Woody after returning home from college. Imagine how he'd feel about Bonnie forgetting about Woody and actually losing him. Like, Andy would be like, "Oh, Bonnie, where's Woody? Who's Woody? Who? Like, the toy I gave, the toy who's special to me? Oh my god. Seriously, screw you, Bonnie, for that. And screw you, writers, for actually doing this. And how the hell is that scene supposed to make you cry? Maybe it's because the music is like brainwashing people to cry. Which, by the way, the music is excellent. The music is excellent, but it did not make me cry. People say Inside Out 2 it's not emotional. People say that Inside Out 2 wasn't emotional enough. Well, I cried. How can anybody not cry Inside Out 2 yet cry at this movie right here? And people say people don't cry at Olaf's death. Like, they say it's not emotional, but yet they get emotional over Toy Story 4. Just how? Yeah. So overall, maybe Toy Story 4 on its own, it's just an average, passable film that I just pass on over. But as a Toy Story film, it's kind of a train wreck. Yeah, this is basically the Ralph Breaks the Internet of Pixar, except better, slightly better. While it's not a cinematic disaster, well, pretty much it was almost a cinematic disaster, and I can find some great things about the film. It's clear that the film did not need to be made at all. This is the worst Pixar sequel in my opinion, and my second least favorite Pixar film, second only behind The Good Dinosaur. This is also the worst Best Animated Feature winner, Oscar winner. Did not deserve its Best Animated Feature at all. It should have either gone to Claws or How to Train Dragon 3, or even better, Frozen 2, if only it was nominated. Yeah, apparently Toy Story 5 is rumored to make Andy get his toys back from Bonnie after returning home from college. Can't wait to see how further the damage Toy Story 5 can cause. And considering that Josh Cooley was one of the contributors to this film not being good, I honestly am not looking forward to Toy Story, to Transformers 1, which is also directed by him. In fact, I'm actually dreading it now, yeah. Maybe it could surprise me, but as of now, I am lowering my expectations for Transformers 1 are super low. So with that said, I'm going to give Toy Story 4 a 2 stars out of 5. Bad movie. So also for my review / mini rant on Toy Story 4, what are your thoughts on the film? Would you agree with me that Toy Story 5 is a bad movie? Do you think that Toy Story 5 is a complete cinematic disaster and your least favorite Pixar film? Or are you one of those Toy Story 4 defenders / fans? Comment down below, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and yes, guys, this is the last Pixar movie I am reviewing for Pixar Month. But I will still continue to make Pixar content. Stay tuned for more Pixar content. I'm gonna be doing my Pixar impressions, my ideas for Pixar sequels, for future Pixar sequels, and some more Pixar related ranking videos. And as for non-Pixar reviews, I will be reviewing A Quiet Place, the first 2 A Quiet Place movies leading up to A Quiet Place Day 1. So yeah, bye guys.